Hello everyone and welcome back to Mario Kart World, where today we're going to be seeing if we can beat Mario Kart World without the ZR button. Which you may be wondering why we need the ZR button, and I'm about to make it very, very clear why we need it. So the reason we need the ZR button is quite simple. ZR button allows you to do multiple different tricks, which makes us have an advantage during the race, like charge jumping in order to gain a boost, drifting, which is probably the most important one, and including a couple other things, such as being able to jump off of rails. Rails are alive if we're able to get onto them without jumping or doing a trick in any way. We're not allowed to jump off. And doing wall tricks is also not allowed. I hope that makes it clear why we need the ZR button. So once again, I hope that covered everything you need to know about the ZR button. But now, what are the rules exactly for the challenge? The rules for this challenge are: A. We are not allowed to use the ZR button in any way, which is kind of self-explanatory. B. Map any other button to ZR. If you just make it so like X does the same thing as ZR, that's not really counting and is unfair for the challenge. C. If shaking the controller is the trick, which for the same reason as B. And D, we are not allowed to use the rewind feature at all, because it can do things like dodging blue shells and other items, which again ruins the point of the challenge. I hope these rules all make sense, and with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. The car we're going to use to start off is Bowser on the Bowser Bruiser for its high speed stat, and we're going to be doing the mushroom cut starting, and all tracks we'll be doing will be on 150. And we're going to start off with Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Whistletop Summit, and DK Spaceport. And we're all ready and set to start the challenge. And the very first thing I do is activate the boost, pause the game, and then mess with my controls a bit and the button mapping. For that way, the ZR button cannot be used in any way. And we soon realize our first major problem with the challenge is that we can't drift on turns, meaning that we can't build up speed and we can't take turns more efficiently, which will be a big problem. Even with our lack of drifting abilities, we're still able to take this turn very nicely as long as we stay on the checkered part, which should be a theme that is reoccurring throughout the entire challenge. Using a mushroom boost, we're able to take this shortcut up here to help speed up, and we're even able to knock Luigi off. But we do go in the off-road a bit, and then you get stuck on the rail after. We're trying to hit Baby Peach with a red shell. As soon as I use it, my mushroom to hit it, boost healed it, so yeah, that's awesome. With some lucky boot timing, we're able to dodge the shock, meaning we are in the lead and we got a mushroom in case a blue shell comes. Not much else happened after that, allowing us to snag first without even using the ZR button once. The way across City should be a lot easier because it's mostly a straight highway. Though there are a lot of straight lines for the intermission tracks in this game, I do like the intermission tracks, which I feel like is an unpopular opinion mostly. It's kind of like you either love them or you hate them. I kind of like them both. But we did get stuck on this grind rail here, and I'm actually going to say we're going to hit the bully, but then we get able to sneak past and get the shorter way, which is pretty cool. Nothing else really happened on the way except for our first visit from Bluist von Shellington the 8th. Which hit us, and we got sent back to third, with Donkey Kong and Baby Peach passing us. Well, with a lucky pull from a red shell and a conveniently placed fire truck, we're able to sneak back in first place. The top of the Crown City is when we started to have a bit issues with one of our problems. We're not allowed to trick off the ramps, so we're not able to get a boost, which allows Donkey Kong to get right up next to us and pass us. And unfortunately, due to the fact that we couldn't get any better items, Donkey Kong was able to win the race, and the second race, so that sucks. But remember, we don't need to win every single race in order to complete the challenge. We just need to get first on the grand leaderboard, which you are tied with Donkey Kong now. On our way to Whistletop Summit, I eat a burger, go through the grass, and I become a biker on a four-wheeler, because that makes sense. I'm actually quite nervous for Whistletop Summit due to the fact there's a lot of grind rails on that we can't jump off of if we get stuck on them. That might be a problem. But good news is that the in-between section on the way doesn't include that much, and the ones that do end up helping us. Now, as evening sets in, we make it to Whistletop Summit. And we immediately get hit by a red shell, so that's nice. Rails aren't actually as bad as I thought they would be. Like the in-between section, they're mostly helping us get a boost and stay ahead of the pack. Right here, I made a crucial mistake that almost cost us the race. You see, we can't jump off the grind rail, and this grind rail takes us a long way around if we don't jump off. Meaning we're stuck taking the longest way around, but thanks to some lucky lightning, we're able to get off and just barely, with Donkey Kong right behind us, snag the victory. Which means we're back into first place in the leaderboard. Nothing that quite interesting happened on the way to DK Spaceport, except that I learned that we can actually get onto walls if instead of tricking we use a feather in order to get on, which might help us out later. And with nothing else of note, we make it to DK Spaceport. I tried to take the sharp turn, but ended up falling off. Obviously, even with drifting I can still fall off this. The DK Spaceport itself is a pretty cool track because of all the different grind rails and bounce pads and other stuff, which are the problem for us since we can't do that, but it is pretty cool with the whole reference to the original Donkey Kong. But as you can see here, taking these sharp turns in the corners is going to be a bit of a problem, allowing Donkey Kong to pass us. And we can't use these grind rail sections to give us any boost since, once again, we can't trick. And with Donkey Kong passing us, we get hit by a fireball, and then a blue shell comes, but I thought it was going to help us, then we get hit, then everyone starts passing us, and then we started to get Mario Karted, which isn't good. Most people getting slowed down and Goombas on the track thanks to Kamek, I'm able to squeeze by and get back into third. Let's see if we're able to win the race. And thanks to our good speed stat, we're able to capture the Toad, honk with the horn, and then finish first, getting us first place on the Mushroom Cup. The first cup in the game is out of the way. Now to move on to the Flower Cup. Next is the Flower Cup, which contains Desert Hills, Shy Guy Bazaar, Wario Stadium, and Airship Fortress. Desert Hills is a pretty easy track for this challenge, being on how open and wide all the turns are, which makes it pretty easy. I would also like to mention that I did change my combo to All-Terrain Bowser and the Mega Trike. Same stats as the last combo, just thought I'd mention it. Now that we really get to see the rival CPU get difficult. The rival CPUs get difficult. As you see, I can't take these turns nearly as well Daisy, who's drifting and boosting up all of them, which is not allowing me to catch up as good. And I tried Banana Snipe, and I missed. So yeah, blood. Actually, with some help from Blue Sif on Shellington the 8th, we're able to pass Daisy and use a mushroom boost to get back into the lead. And with a nice glide to the finish, we're able to snag first on the first track. Next is the road to Shy Guy Bazaar from Desert Hills, and in my opinion this is probably one of the worst in-between sections in the game. The start with the fire snakes in the cave is pretty nice, but the real problem with the in-between section is the fact that after that is this very long wire section where you're kind of just doing nothing the whole time. Though I do like to try to give intermission tracks the benefit of the doubt because they are kind of simpler, this just isn't fun. With nothing else interesting on the way, we make the Shy Guy Bazaar, which will be a bit hard due to some of the tight turns, we'll see in a second. And these tight turns are really hard, and I got stuck in the grass for a second, allowing the rest of the pack to get back. This is before I realized that handling doesn't just affect drifting and stuff, but your actual normal turning. So I had a hard time taking these turns. But other than that, it was pretty smooth sailing, allowing us to get first once again. The road to Shy Guy Bazaar from Wario Stadium is once again kind of a boring one. Not as bad as the last one, but just with nothing else really interesting. The only mildly interesting thing that happened on the way there is that I grabbed some curry so I could turn the supercharged Bowser. But other than that, not really anything interesting on this in-between section. Though I was worried for Airship Fortress, and I still am, what I really should have been worried for was Wario Stadium. The amount of tricks and jumps on this track never really processed to me how much faster you go when you take them. I was stuck in behind, and only with the feathers got able to take that shortcut. See, I told you the feathers come out later, and even with that, I only still got third at the very end. So, problems. The road to Airship Fortress is probably the best one in the Flower Cup in-between section. To start off, for I would like to area like you would skateboard and stuff. No, not really exactly a skateboard area, but just like, you feel like you would skateboard here. And then we get to ride on the outside of Bowser's castle walls, and on some broken pieces, and dodging this one chain jump here. And then we get to glide onto the actual Airship Fortress area. And making it to Airship Fortress is no biggie. And Airship Fortress isn't as bad as I thought it would be. You can take the first 2 turns pretty easily. The really first major problem is how we have to rub our face against this wall. But other than that, it's pretty easy. Real problem is when we have to go down this tunnel here. For most of it, I was stuck just rubbing my side against the wall and just trying to make it. And I even tried to use the feather to get onto the wall, which didn't work. I'm just riding on the wall. But luckily, I had a green shell so I could hit Luigi. And even though I got hit by a boomerang, I was able to still get 4. Which puts me just 1 point above from Daisy, allowing me to win the Flower Cup. Easy peasy. But I can tell it's going to get a lot harder from now on. Next up, we have the Star Cup, which contains DK Pass. Oh, I skipped it. Never mind then. I guess I'll have to just tell you what the tracks are on the way. To start off, we have DK Pass, and it really sucks because I can't take the shortcut I'd like to take. We hit the pole, so I'm kind of stuck taking the normal way. I'm also back on using the Bowser Bruiser, just for you know. This is when I really started to struggle, due to all these tight turns on DK Pass. And since I still didn't know that handling affected the turns, yeah, I was still stuck with bad handling. Tight turns and bad handling, I was only able to just barely get 7th. I was a bit more optimistic going from DK Pass to Starview Peak, because it's a bit more one of the more simpler and bland in between sections, which kind of sucks, but for this challenge it's good because we get an easier track to drive on. And nothing really of note happened except for getting hit by Bluetooth on shelling to the 8th again. So that's fun. Before we knew it, we made the Starview Peak, which is, I feel like it has the potential to be a really good track, but it kinda sucks, to be honest. Not really, but I feel like it could have been better. The first half of the track is kinda just a copy of Ice Ice Outpost. At least the second half of the track shakes it up a bit when we're driving on water section, which is pretty good for this challenge because of how open the waters are. And thanks to the more simpler water section, I was able to get first, putting me just a little bit closer to catching back up. Next up is the road to Sky High Sunday, and it's a really icy road off the side of the cliff. That's really the most interesting in between section, but the layout is unique, which makes it a pretty fun one. Well, I never really noticed this, but after the lightning strikes, it gets really blizzardy in the snowy areas, which is really interesting. It makes it hard to see, with a unique effect only on snowy tracks. Next up, we make it to Sky High Sunday, a massive improvement over the original version on Deluxe, but still with a kinda basic straight line layout. I quite like this track though. But everything started to go downhill after getting hit by this blue shell. You get hit by the blue shell, get passed by a couple people. Yeah, I'm in 4th now. I'm pretty sure I get hit by a roach shell. A roach shell, no, I said it like that. I grab the iron box and like everyone goes into the side of the wall, which I can't because I can't trick. And I'm stuck in 6th and I have nothing to do. And only getting 6th place, that kinda knocks me back down on points. I have very low expectations on that I'm gonna be able to beat it, this one under my first try. So all we can do is try. The in-between section from Sky High Sunday to Wario Stadium, Wario Shipyard, is probably the best in the cup. Like the last cup's last in-between section. We start off by going through a remix of Vanilla Lake 1, not a remix, a tribute. Then we ride into like icy walls on the sides with a river in the middle, which is pretty cool, taking us out to the stormy sea. Now it's about time I talk about water tracks as a challenge. While most water tracks will be able to help us with their wide open area, most of them, especially ones with stormy water, have a lot of trick opportunities for the opponents, allowing them to catch up. And since we can't, that kinda sucks. Now Wario's Shipyard itself had quite the makeover from the original version on the 3DS, being that water driving on the water is now gone. Most of the track is on water, which changes it quite a lot. But those changes didn't help me, only able to get third, meaning I didn't get enough points to do first place, meaning I have to try again. This time, now using the Dread Sleds of the Bowser Bruiser, I can really feel the better handling, and this is when I learned that handling also affects your turning, not just your drifting and stuff. And this helped me get first place on DK Pass, Starview Peak, and Sky High Sunday. Meaning I only had one track left, Warrior Shipyard. I was pretty confident I could win, being the fact that I won all 3 previous races, and the only way I would really lose due to points is if I got like 24th place. And for a pretty decent lead, I was able to get first place on Warrior Shipyard, meaning that the Star Cup has completed with all 4 tracks getting first place. Next up on the list is the Shell Cup, and I once again skipped the opening scene, so once again I'll have to take the tracks on the way. And I also switched from Bowser to Bowser Jr. for better handling. Koopa Troopa Beach, which is actually Koopa Troopa Beach 2, is basically this game's version of Baby Park, being that it's a short track with multiple laps. So this is definitely one of the worst tracks in the game. I quite like it, to be honest. Even with the simpler layout though, I still only got third for some reason. Don't really know how that happened. Now we're on our way to Faraway Oasis, and once again we have another instance of the CPU being able to trick off the waves, but we can't. Once again, this in-between section isn't that interesting, but I do like this part right here where we get to kind of drive with the zebras. I think that's funny. That's all I have to say about this one. Oof. And making it to Faraway Oasis, I have to say this track is kind of underwhelming. It has such a unique aesthetic of being like an Africa track, which is the first time we've ever seen this in like any Mario game, except maybe Wonder. And it's like, I feel like it's a wasted opportunity because I don't know, it doesn't feel that interesting. But nonetheless, we still got first place, so who cares. Now on our way to Faraway Oasis to Crown City. While this is kind of just a bridge with a bunch of straight lines, I personally find this to be one of my favorite in-between sections. This feels full of chaos on the cars and stuff. Now I was even lucky enough to get the semi, which helped me boost through it. This is a really fun intermission track for me. I feel like you could say this isn't that interesting and good one, but I quite like it. So after a long journey on the bridge, we make it to Crown City. And to be honest, I like the second version better than the first one. I don't know, it just has a unique aesthetic to me, where we kind of drive through the alleys and such, which I like more. We could do a half pipe on the skate area, we could drive through tight alleyways, which I took the roof area, and we even get to finish off on the beach. Overall, that's a nice city track. Now on our way to Crown City, and on our way from Crown City to Peach Stadium, I gotta say this is kinda lackluster. Well, not bad by any means, but nothing really special. We start by going underneath this underpass area with traffic, which is kinda cool. Then we go on to this cherry blossom area, which I do think is pretty beautiful. Looks nice. And then we make it to the track, and it's a box with 4 straight lines. This is literally the worst track in Mario Kart history, hands down. Like, and it was easy though. I just beat it on my first try, and like, it just didn't feel challenging at all. Well, with that, the Shell Cup's done, so time to move on to the next one. Next is the Banana Cup that takes us to Peach Beach, Salty Salty Speedway, Dino Dino Jungle, and one of my personal favorite tracks of this game, Great Question Block Ruins. First off is Peach Beach, which is a massive improvement from the original version. We start from the original layout of Peach Beach with the circular water section, but then we take a left turn instead of a right one to go up into like this city-town area of the track. I mostly just stay on the bottom because it's kind of the quickest way with my limited moveset. And then we get to go in this glider section, which is pretty cool. Then it kind of ends off in just a basic water area, so nothing special for the ending. But other than that, this is an amazing track. A tier. We start off on the way to Salty Salty Speedway. Start on this very windy sand bridge. Nothing too crazy. I quite like this section. Then after that, we go to this little beachside cafe, and we can blow up some people to spawn. And it's a really nice area. And then we're approaching the track, and we got some life-floating Goombas. Now we make it to Salty Speedway, and this track is pretty cool. It's based off of Venice, Italy, the place where you kind of use a boat instead of a car, and all the roads are rivers. And you get to drive through very tight river sections, which is kind of tricky for us, but we still end up doing it. But then Burial passes at the last second, allowing us to only get second, which kind of fitting with the wordplay there. Didn't even mean to do that. Now we're on our way to Dino Dino Jungle, which the intermission section starts pretty simple. Listening to the last one, we kind of go in this beach section. But then we go into this kind of lush green, kind of Scottish hillside area. Then we drive on a waterfall. I took the upper route due to the fact that it's safer and it's kind of easier to control the car here. And even get to end off on a glider section, which is pretty cool. As we approach Dino Dino Jungle, we get to see some actual dinosaurs. We get to see these brachiosaurs that have rail grinds on their back, which those guys are pretty cool. We make it to Dino Dino Jungle, which has dinos and Dino Jungle. Real quick, I'd like to mention how much this music brings back the wave of nostalgia for me. Not necessarily to Mario Kart Double Dash, the game this is from, I never played that. But actually, it reminds me a lot of an old Dinosaur Zoo game I would play on my tablet when I was younger, which is cool. That kind of brought back those memories, which is nice. I know I kind of went on a rant that wasn't really part of anything, but we dodged a T-Rex, so who cares? And with that, we made it in first. Only one more track left for Banana Cup. The road to Great Question Block Ruins isn't that special. I mean, we get to see the T-Rex, which is cool, and we'll go through this little jungle section with the piranha plants. And this river section where we can hit these corn blocks. I can't because I can't trick, sadly. And then we go up to here with the boost panel thing, and what an entrance. Nice entrance. Now, Great Question Block Ruins is a pretty technical track with all the grind rails and other stuff you can take, which we can't take, and these sharp turns are kind of annoying, because I have to slow down using B in order to take them properly without falling off the track. But other than that, pretty simple for how we're doing it, and thanks to this triple red shell and this boo, which allows me to go past here, we're able to get first place once again. Meaning we got first place once again on the Banana Cup first try. Next up is the Leaf Cup, which contains Cheap Cheap Falls, Dandelion Depths, Boo Cinema, and Dry Bones Burnout. Real quick, I'd like to talk real quick about why I keep mentioning more detail about the tracks in the actual challenge. The truth is, I kind of realized on this part that this challenge is actually kind of easy, which may sound weird, but if you try it yourself, you can see that it's not actually as bad, which is kind of disappointing, which means I have less to talk about, and it's not as entertaining as a video, I wouldn't think. But this is my first challenge video, so I guess it does fit a little, but it's not as crazy, but I just wanted to let you know that, and that's all for this part. But at least in Cheap Falls case, it is actually a bit trickier. This track has always been kind of hard to steer properly in, and even the fact that I can't drift kind of makes it a little harder, to be honest. At the same time, it kind of is easier to control the car around the ending section where you're in like the flat water, which is kind of weird, but I don't know, I'm not going to question it like that part. But at the last second, I was able to boost past King Boo and secure the victory on this track. The road to Dandelion Depths is actually a little tricky, where you have to do these sharp turns, but it's not anything too bad. There's mostly some sharp turns you take up and down the hill, kind of like DK Spaceport. The turns aren't as sharp, which make them still pretty manageable to drive on. Nothing else of note happened, and we made it to Dandelion Depths, which is a really cool theme, which is like Wooden Kingdom from Mario Odyssey, but not exactly. It's more like an underground construction site area, which is a interesting idea for a track, especially because of the whole dandelions and stuff everywhere. Which, even though Fishbone nearly passed us toward the end, we still ended up winning this race. The road to Boo Cinema isn't anything special, sadly, not really much to talk about. I would like to just mention that I do feel a little discouraged with the whole, like the challenges isn't as easy I like to talk about. Because this is like the first time I'm doing a video like this. And it is a little discouraging having not that much to talk about other than track design for a challenge, but I don't know. That's just how it ended up. I mean, I guess the ending of the in-between section where we drive on part of one of the Ghost Valley tracks in the original SNES is cool. It shouldn't be too hard for this talent. Excuse me, what was that? We just drift? So to explain what happened here is quite simple. I was trying to itch my neck, the controller still in my hand, and the controller accidentally pushed up against my neck and hit the L button, which I completely forgot also drift. Which isn't technically the ZR button, so I won't count it, but that is also will not be used from now on. Now back to what I was saying before the drift incident. Boost Limit isn't really that hard for this challenge, but due to the fact that it doesn't have as much tech and it is kind of softer on the layout. This track really heavily relies on its amazing theme, which is a haunted movie theater. This is hands down my favorite Ghost House track they've ever made, which they haven't made that many, and a lot of them are kind of the original tracks, but this is pretty good. And once again, we were able to get first place. Whoopee. Now for the in-between section, going to Dry Bones Burnout from Boost Cinema. It starts out pretty simple with the Ghost Valley tracks, more of that, which are pretty simple to drive on due to their kind of boxy shape, so allow turns to be taken pretty easily. Section after also is pretty easily. The only reason this one was kind of annoying is because I tried to feather in order to get a boost off these trees, but I missed and was stuck in the off-road for most of this section. Couldn't get to see the magnificent boosts. Then we go across this drawbridge section, oh yeah, and then we get to boost off this glider ramp, and go straight across another in-between section we will see later, onto this twisty split path section, which doesn't have anything too difficult, just some more soft turns to take, and then we're back onto straight roads. And then after driving through this ribcage-like section, we make it to Dry Bones Burnout. And then I proceed to use the feathers to take this shortcut I usually take to a charge jump. I did line sideways, so I don't know how much faster I really went, but it feels cool. Then I get hit with a blue shell at the worst possible time, causing me to fall down into the lower section of Dry Bones Burnout, which is, I believe, to be slightly slower. And while in the lower section, I was just barely able to block this red shell in time. Little more basic driving, we make it, and complete Dry Bones Burnout and the Leaf Cup in first place. And with that, the Leaf Cup is finished. Time to move on to the next one. Next up, we have the Lightning Cup, which contains Moo Moo Meadows, Chaka Mountain, Toad's Factory, and Bowser's Castle. It's always been weird to me that Moo Moo Meadows isn't a Lightning Cup, which, for how much of a simpler track it is compared to the other ones, now the Lightning Cup is supposed to be like this final grand finale besides the Special Cup. Other than that, I'm fine with Moo Moo Meadows' inclusion, and a slightly simpler layout than 8 Deluxe, allowing it to be pretty easy for this challenge. They really did simplify this area right here. The original version had this winding section we had to dodge the cows. And like I just saw there, it's not really hard to dodge the cows anymore, and on the second lap where it's like the hardest to do so. Personally, I prefer the 8 Deluxe version better. A neat little detail I noticed is that during the start of the track, it's evening and it ends during the day. I may be looking too far into it, but this could be like how farmers wake up really early, so like it starts off earlier since it is a farm. But with that, we got first place on Moo Moo Meadows. The road to Chaka Mountain wasn't anything special, and with a simple layout, making it easy to drive. The only real notable part is that we drive through the original SNES Choco Island track, which is pretty cool. And then we arrive at Chaka Mountain, which we got a complete overhaul, and thanks to a red shell, I got knocked back down to third. But as I was saying, this track got a complete overhaul, turning into a monster truck arena, which is an interesting choice, being how the original was like a cozy mountain hillside. But nothing really interesting, and I got first. Yippee. Road to Toad's Factory is pretty simple. All you really have to do is just stay up here and on the high parts for the most inside turn. It's the quickest. And make sure you grab the item box every now and then, so you have protection from red shells. Overall, it's a pretty short and sweet intermission section. Nothing really bad to say about it. Factory is pretty easy for this challenge also, being how most of it is kind of just a straight line with a couple turns. The only mildly difficult part was the section where we have to ride on the spinning conveyor belts. Taking the shortcut on the beams, I missed the second one because I couldn't trick, allowing both Hammer Bro and Luigi to pass me, and we only got started on Toad's factory. Wait. The start of the intermission to Bowser's Castle is pretty simple, where we kind of drive this basic road just in the Darklands. Then we make it out into Big Donut, which is actually a battle track that is a retro for Mario 64, which is interesting seeing a battle track during the intermission section, and that's a cool way to add it to the world. And then the uphill up and going to Bowser's Castle is pretty cool, and with a really cool glider section we got up to the castle. Pretty good. Bowser's Castle was pretty easy, especially because I used this feather to skip this area part where I can get ahead of the pack more. And the lava tube is pretty easy, nothing really to worry about there except having something to block a red shell if we don't fall down. We're hit by a meteor and then falling into lava, which I nearly threw the whole race. We ended up getting first place, so yeah, and that's the Lightning Cup done. Lastly, we have the Special Cup, which contains Acorn Heights, Mario Bros. Circuit, Peach Stadium, and finally, Rainbow Road. Acorn Heights started off pretty bad because I was trying to do something and ended up driving straight into a wall, which isn't cool. We're taking this grind rail section like I always do, it ended up not giving me enough height and I fell off, putting me all the way back into 23rd place, which sucks. Luckily though, I was able to grab some mushrooms and take this cheeky little shortcut right here, allowing me to catch up a bit. I once again tried to take this grind rail section and failed once again. This time though, I had golden mushrooms, so I was able to take the grind rail section for the little speed boost it gave, which put me back into second place. And with some optimal driving, I was able to get first place at Acorn Heights. On the road to Acorn Heights, nothing really happened on the way to Mario Bros. Circuit, except we drive where we went over that one time during the Leaf Cut. Mario Bros. Circuit wasn't that hard for this challenge at all, surprisingly. I thought it'd be a little tricky due to the amount of sharp turns it has. It was actually quite easy. The only time I really had a problem was during Mario Circuit 2, where I got during its sharp turn. But for Mario Circuit 3, that sharp turn didn't affect me at all. But sadly, I did only get 4th place, meaning that we are still low on points. The road to Peach Stadium is probably one of the most unique ones due to the fact that it's the only 5-lap long one I'm aware of, due to the fact that we actually have to go through Moo Moo Meadows. It does confuse me on why they didn't just put Moo Moo Meadows in the Special Cup instead of the Lightning Cup, and then put, I don't know, Mario Circuit in the Lightning Cup, maybe? But it's just how it ended up. Something else interesting happened on the way there. We kind of just front run the whole time, which worked well because we're playing as Bowser. And all I would like to mention is that this area looks absolutely gorgeous, so that's nice. Then we arrive at Peach Stadium, the good version, not whatever this thing is. When trying to get to the grind rail section after this boost pad, as soon as I do it, a boost steals my feather. Which, that sucks, but I have a decent lead so I can still get ahead, right? Oof. And then I fall off the track, amazing. Don't worry, hopefully that won't happen again. Okay, good. But thanks to that, and the fact I couldn't get any good items, Pink Yoshi won. Meaning I am dangerously low on points. If I don't get... I need to get not only first place on the next track, I need to make sure Pink Yoshi doesn't get second. Which might be a bit tricky, but hopefully it'll work out. Now we're at the in-between section to Rainbow Road, which is just a straight line. But this is time I would like to mention that I am not going to be doing any voiceover for Rainbow Road to see if I win or not. It'll just be pure suspense of Bowser just driving on Rainbow Road. So, hopefully that doesn't disappoint anyone by the fact that I'm not voiced over Rainbow Road. I just thought it'd be more fun if you just see what happens. And just like that, we had completed Rainbow Road, meaning that we had officially figured out, can we beat Mario Kart World without the ZR button? Yes, we can. I'd like to thank everyone for watching this. I kind of just threw together the random idea I made up. And please like and subscribe, this little channel will help out a ton. But that's all for me, for now. Oh wait, one more thing. I will, since it's always that one person who's like, you didn't do it for real, you faked it, you just showed us part where you didn't drift. Well, I will be releasing a full version of the, races with no commentary, just to prove everyone wrong. This is more like an overview of what actually happened. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and thank you all so much for watching. Bye!